Where is he who is to be born king of the Jews? Herod says, I don't have a clue. So you all go and search the scriptures. Somebody say the scriptures. You search the scriptures and then you come back and tell me where he's to be born, because I want to go and worship him too. And so they came back and they told Herod where this child was going to be born. But the wise men were informed by an angel of God, don't go back. Go back home. Do you mean to tell me God is in communication with folk who are not a part of his people? Is it possible that God is as active in the world as he is in the church? So why is it that we think, not y'all, but why is it that we think the only place people can encounter God is in the context of our narrow, defined belief? Sure is quiet up in here. God is at work throughout the world. This might be a shock to some of us, but God speaks to people no matter what faith system they are in. But they're all looking for the coming of Christ. They don't know that's what they're looking for, but that's what they're seeking. And if we, like the scribes and the teachers, would turn back to the book, we might can give some answers. Oh, I love it. But let's talk about this star. I'm closing. What about this star? There's a story in the book of Numbers. Israel was traveling, and they were making some headway. And Balak, it says, who was the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. If you're taking notes, I'm in Numbers chapter 22. And Moab was terrified because there were so many people, and indeed Moab was filled with dread because of the Israelites. So the Moabites said to the elders of Midian, the horde is going to lick up everything around us as an ox lips up the grass of the field. So Balak, the son of Zippor, who was king of Moab at the time, sent messengers to summon Balaam, the son of Beor, who was at Pethor near the Euphrates River in his native land. And he said, a people have come out of Egypt. They're covering the face of the land, and they settled next to me. So come and put a curse on the people. Y'all know the story. This is where the donkey started talking. This was Balaam. People say Balaam, you know, the false prophet. Balaam wasn't a false prophet. Balaam was a prophet for hire. If you give him enough money, he'll tell you what you want to hear. But what he said came true. Y'all with me? So Balak tries to get Israel cursed. Balaam's donkey, who had more sense than Balaam. I wish I could say it the way I want to say it, but I can't, because it's Christmas. You fill in the blank. Balaam's donkey had more sense than Balaam. So who was really in this case? And so here's Balaam. And Balaam tries to curse Israel, right? And he couldn't. So Balaam Tries it again, and he couldn't. And he tries it again, and he couldn't. Because you can't curse what God has blessed. You can't curse what God has blessed. I just gave you the best Christmas present you'll ever get, is knowing since you have been blessed by God, there's no curse that can overcome your life. You can't curse. My. I think I just found out the message we were talking about a little earlier. I didn't know what I was going to preach somewhere. I think I just found it out. You can't curse. Whew, ooh, that'll preach. I might have to preach that New Year's Day, New Year's Sunday. All right, now, here's what happened. Balaam comes up the fourth time, and he speaks this prophecy. Now, let me ask you a question. Is Balaam an Israelite? No. He's a Moabite. He's not an Israelite. He too is tapped into spiritual reality. But he's not an Israelite. He is a prophet. He's a prophet for hire. He's not a prophet of God, but his prophecies come true. Because truth is truth no matter where it comes from. Remember that. Truth is truth no matter where it comes from. And so Balaam stands, and this is what he says. The prophecy of Balaam, the son of Beor. The prophecy of one whose eyes see clearly. Let me ask you a question. Do you have clear vision? The prophecy of one who hears the words of God, who has knowledge from the Most High, who sees a vision from the Almighty, who falls prostrate and whose eyes are open. How would you like to be able to define yourself like that? Anybody like to be able to define yourself like that? One whose eyes see clearly, and one who hears the words of God, and who has knowledge from the Most Holy, and who sees a vision from the Almighty. How would you like to define yourself like that? You can. You can. When you can separate the myth from the message, when you can get the message clear, you can get freed up from all the myth. When you can move from tradition into truth, you can define yourself like that. But as long as our traditions have us bound, we can't move into truth. And our vision will always be cloudy. Don't touch my cherished traditions. Don't tell me it wasn't 3 wise men at the manger, because that's what I want. That's what I've always believed. Don't mess with my nativity scene. Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. It's not that important, Pastor. You just leave it alone. You make folk mad when you talk about stuff like that. Just preach a nice, this ain't y'all, just preach a nice Christmas message about love and joy and hope and peace. And I'm for all of that, as long as the message doesn't get lost. Here is Balaam's prophecy. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star Somebody say a star. A star will come out of Jacob. A scepter will rise out of Israel. Now, I want to ask you a question again. Is Balaam a Hebrew prophet? No. He is outside the community of faith, yet God is giving this seeker prophecy about what's going to happen among his people. How did the wise men know about this star? It had nothing to do with astrology. It had everything to do with Balaam's prophecy. They knew what to look for because God had already deposited in people from every nation, from every tribe, and from every people some kind of marker to know that there was one coming who would bring deliverance to the world. And it became a part of their belief system. It became a part of their tradition. They begin to hand this down, and they begin to talk about it, and they begin to share of how God had spoken years and years ago about something he was going to do. And this whole region knew there's going to be a star that's going to indicate when it happens. We have seen his star. They were more attentive to the work of God than God's own people. Oh, it's getting hot in here. Isn't it a good thing that situations are different today? Isn't it a good thing that God's people are in the know? Isn't it a good thing that God's people are on the cutting edge of what God's doing? And when the world shows up at our door, we can tell them what God is up to. Isn't that a great thing that people can come to the doors of the church and get answers to real life problems? Isn't that a great thing that people can come to the doors of the church when they're hurting, when they're bound, when they're broke, busted, and disgusted? And the church has some solutions. The church has some answers. We can say, this is what God has to say about that. This is what God's going to do. Isn't it a great thing? Whew. That star. And it's going to crush the foreheads of Moab, the skulls of all the people of Sheth. Edom will be conquered. Seir, his enemy, will be conquered. But Israel, the one you're trying to get me to curse, Israel, the one I have tried to curse 3 times, Israel, the ones who every time I open my mouth to pronounce a judgment, God comes upon me and all I can speak is a blessing. Whew. I'm preaching a whole lot better than y'all letting on. Israel. Israel, the ones who have found favor with God and favor with man. Israel, the church, will grow strong and defeat all its enemies. You know what the world's looking for? Strong churches. Oh, let me talk here for a minute. The world can read the Bible. What a concept. The church can read the Gospels, and they can see what Jesus is like.